Hi, welcome to Healthy Home Cooking. My name is Christina. In today's video, we're going to be making one of my all-time favorite dishes. It's a dish that hails from Burgundy, France, and it's called coqauvin, which in French means rooster or chicken in wine. And it is hearty and substantial, and when you are craving something meaty, winey, it is delicious. And there is a little bit of work involved with this dish, I won't lie to you. It will take you about an hour to make this, but I don't know anywhere locally where I can find this dish, and it's so good, I think it's worth the time. So legend has it that in 16th century France, in Paris in particular, King Henry IV wanted his people to do well. And so his motto was he wanted a chicken in every pot. And what that meant was that he wanted even the peasants in the countryside to fare well and eat well. And somehow this recipe was developed around this time, and it was something that people on the land could easily make from things that they had on their properties. A pig, a chicken, some mushrooms, some onions, and that was really the basis of the dish. What's interesting is that over time, coqauvin has become a humble peasant dish to being really the essence of French cuisine. You'll find it in some of the finest French restaurants around the world today. So the key with the chicken is to cook it long and slow. What we're doing is braising it. You don't want to rush it. The wine is also of equal importance. Although the dish originated in Burgundy, France, and therefore was made with Burgundy wine, the different regions would customize the dish to incorporate whatever wine was local to their area. So in Alsace, you might find it made with Riesling or with some other white wine. You can use Pinot Noir if you wanted to, Beaujolais or Champagne even. But I use just a basic red table wine. It isn't really cheap, but it isn't very expensive either. It is a drinkable red wine, an everyday table wine that I typically use. So without further ado, let's get started making it.
So our ingredients are, from left to right, chopped parsley, Himalayan sea salt, or you can use regular salt, Dijon mustard, a chopped onion, cornstarch mixed in a little water, freshly ground pepper, chopped mushrooms, a whole fryer chopped up, chicken broth, red wine, and bacon that has been cut into little strips. So first we're going to light our pan. We're going to have a strong heat underneath. We're going to get it up to a good hot temperature. And we don't need any oil. We're just going to put our bacon in because there's plenty of fat there to keep things from sticking. So we will saute this a bit and get it browned. And then we will just continue cooking it until it's good and brown. Just keep moving it around in the pan. You'll see a little bit of fat develop, and we're going to just push that over to the side and start draining some of that off, because having too much fat in the pan will prevent the bacon from browning properly. So we'll be left with just our bacon, and that will continue browning in the pan until we remove it and let it drain on a paper towel. And we will just let that cool off, and meanwhile continue cooking some of our other ingredients. Next is onions. We're going to put our chopped onions in, and you can see that these are fairly roughly cut. You can chop them more finely if you like, but these will be cooking for a while, so you can leave them fairly chunky. So we're going to just let these brown slightly, but not too much, on sort of a medium heat. And then we will remove those from the pan as well. So what we're doing is we're sort of cooking each ingredient a bit separately. We'll let those cool. Okay, and now we're going to add just a little bit of that bacon fat back into the pan because we've used it all up. So hopefully you've saved some of that from when you drained it earlier. And now we're going to fry our chicken. And I've got pieces of drumstick and chicken thighs that I'm using today, but sometimes I've used breast. If you use breast, I would cut them in half, otherwise they take a bit too long to cook. So get a nice golden brown on each piece and turn them just turn them once and get a nice golden hue. Add your onions and cook this for about 10 minutes. Remove it from the pan at the end of those 10 minutes because we need to continue cooking some of our other ingredients. Okay, so we're going to add a little bit of fat back into the pan and swirl it around, get it warmed before we add our next ingredient, which are the mushrooms. And we're going to saute the mushrooms until they develop a beautiful golden hue. So swirl them around in the fat to properly coat them, and over time you'll see them develop that beautiful golden color. You can scrape up some of the pan drippings at this point too. And you're going to remove those from the pan, and now we're going to start making our sauce. And first you're going to add the chicken broth, and this is about 2 cups of broth. And the quantities of all of these things will be listed in the description below, so you don't need to take notes. So here I'm scraping and deglazing the pan, and you don't want to strain that off. All of that adds fabulous flavor to your sauce. A couple teaspoons of Dijon mustard. That adds a wonderful flavor to our sauce. And we're going to whisk that around and distribute that in the sauce. You see I've got a nice little boil going. And we're going to add our wine. This is a nice red wine. Again, you can use white, but really I think red works best. And we're going to now add just a little bit of tomato paste to add some richness to the sauce. And that's about a tablespoon. Whisk that in, distribute that nicely. And we're going to now bring that up to a pretty vigorous boil. We're going to add all of our chicken and onions that we removed earlier. We're going to add that back in the pan. And we're now going to kind of cook everything together. And this is this braising component that I discussed earlier, where we're going to just now slow cook the chicken in the sauce. And the sauce is going to take on the flavor of the chicken, and the chicken is going to take on the flavor of the sauce. Add everything back in, your mushrooms, distribute that. And now we're really ready to let this cook. First, we're going to add some seasoning, some thyme. You can use some sprigs of fresh thyme. I didn't have any, so I'm just using dried, about a teaspoon, teaspoon and a half. You want to mix that in. And then now we're ready to let it cook. We're going to put a cover on our pan and let it do its thing for about a half an hour. At the end of the half an hour, we're going to remove the lid and add our parsley. Place our bacon back into the pot and give that all a good stir. And really all of that is cooked and doesn't really need much cooking any farther. So now we're going to add our seasoning. Add a generous teaspoon or 2 of salt, a nice healthy grind of some pepper for some added flavor, and this is all to taste. And there you go. We're going to let that cook maybe another 5 or 10 minutes. Turn each piece, nestle all of those pieces in your sauce, and start removing then after the cooking period. So we're going to remove everything from the pot, obviously all the chicken, but also the big chunks of mushrooms and onions and bacon. So let's remove everything from the pot. And then we're going to add our cornstarch mixed with a bit of water, and slowly add that and stir that around. And when we bring this to a boil, it will thicken the sauce, which you'll see over time here as I'm stirring. See, it's come to a vigorous boil, and now we're going to let that really thicken the sauce. You can see the viscosity of the sauce is getting there. We're going to put everything back in the pot, and that's it. Coqauvin. Does that not look delicious? I can't wait to try it. So I like to make coqauvin on a bed of egg noodles. I find those work best. You can use polenta or rice, but really egg noodles are just divine. So place a couple pieces on each plate and then be liberal with the sauce, because honestly this is the best part. And the noodles will soak up that sauce and it'll be just so rich and satisfying.
So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching me make one of my all-time favorite dishes, coqauvin. And I hope you'll consider trying it at home yourself, perhaps on a Sunday afternoon for a Sunday dinner. If you like this video, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel and clicking the red bell below so that you can be notified when new videos are uploaded. If you think someone you know might enjoy watching this, I hope you'll consider sharing it with them. Thanks for watching.